We come now to our third installment of the whiskey sub-series of my 7 best cocktails of each spirit series. Today we're going over Scotch. Scotch is probably the most polarizing spirit I know. People either love it or hate it. They either die by it or they refuse to have it. And even in between those subspecies of Scotch drinkers, there are those that prefer blended versus single. It's a whole thing that I'm not going to get into. What I will get into is cocktails we can make with them. Today I have 3 Scotches with us right now. I have a 12-year Johnny Walker. This is a blended Scotch. I have a 12-year Macallan. This is a single malt Scotch. And I have a 12-year, I'm not going to try to pronounce this name. Yes, I will. Bunnahabhain, which is another single malt Scotch, but this time it's from Islay. And yes, the region does determine the flavor of the Scotch. So, I'm going to show you how to use these with some of my favorite cocktails with this polarizing spirit. Alright, with that, let's get mixing. Today, to start off, I've got a very almost medicinal cocktail because it was actually used as medicine when it was first created, called the Penicillan. With that, you just know we're getting medicinal. Alright, so let's get started with this. First thing we're going to need is 2 ounces of blended Scotch. Now you would want to use a blended Scotch for this cocktail, but we're going to top it with an Islay single malt. So we're using 2 kinds. Next you're going to need 3/4 an ounce of lemon juice. Then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. And 1/2 ounce of ginger juice. If you can't find ginger juice, just make a ginger honey syrup for this. Now for this cocktail, I don't like to cool down my Scotch too much, so I just do a dry shake. The Scotch will naturally cool down with the rock, but you don't want it too cold. If you want it colder, then feel free to put ice in the shaker. Pour that straight in there. And we're back. My cap for this one broke and the cork got in the Scotch, so I strained a little bit out. But you're just going to want to just top the drink off, so just pour it on the ice with a single malt Islay Scotch. And finally, for a little bit of garnish, I'm going to take a piece of candied ginger and I'm going to put a couple of toothpicks through, and I'm just going to put that there. And then you have a little bit of a treat to have while you're drinking the drink. So there you go. Cocktail number 1, the Penicillan. Cocktail number 2, we're making a Presbyterian. This is a Scotch version of a Moscow Mule, essentially. It's really delicious and kind of similar to the Penicillan we just did. I'm going to start off with 3/4 an ounce of lime juice, and we're just going to build this straight in the cup. going to do another 2 ounces of our Johnny Premier Blended. And we're going to top this puppy off with ginger beer. Now we're going to use the same garnish, obviously not the exact same one, as we did for the Penicillan. And there you go. If I can just get it to stay. And there you go. Cocktail number 2, the Presbyterian. Cocktail number 3, we've got a cocktail called She's No Gentleman. This one's a really interesting one, and we're actually going to be using an ingredient we haven't used on the channel before called Chambord. Let's get started. We're going to do only 1.5 ounces of our blended Scotch. Because we are also going to add 3/4 ounce of that fresh Chambord. Then we're going to add 1/2 ounce of heavy cream. And finally, about 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. I just eyeball it. It's just not much. So the Chambord gives it this really interesting color, but the cream gives it a frothiness. And there you go. Cocktail number 3, the She's No Gentleman. Our next cocktail is a bartender's favorite because it's 2 ingredients and it's really delicious. I gotta stop screwing that thing on all the way. We're going to start off with 2 ounces of our blended Scotch. And then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of amaretto. This is an almond liqueur. We're going to put that on ice. Give it a light stir. You don't want to mix this one too much. And then just pour it over. And there you go. Cocktail number 4, the Godfather. Cocktail number 5, we have a simple one called the Bobby Burns. This one has similar specs to one we're going to go over later, but it's got a completely different flavor profile. First thing we're going to do, 1 ounce of our blended Scotch. And we're going to do 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. And 1/2 ounce of Benedictine. Just going to stir that up. And then pour it straight into the glass. And finally, finish her off we're going to do a nice, thick lemon peel. And there you go. Cocktail number 5, the Bobby Burns. Cocktail number 6 is called the Modern. This is an interesting one, just like the previous ones. We're actually going to be introducing the ingredient of sloe gin. And we're going to be using a single malt scotch. So, start off, we got 1.5 ounces of that single malt scotch. Then we're going to do another 1.5 ounces of sloe gin. And I'm going to dispel the myth right now. Sloe gin is not real gin. It's a liqueur using sloe berries, which is a form of cherry. Now we're going to do something different. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of sugar, and then 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. Next we're going to do a dash, just a dash of orange bitters, and a quick spritz of absinthe. Pour that straight in. The sloe gin gives it an absolutely beautiful red color. And that's it. Cocktail number 6, the Modern. The final cocktail we're doing today is an equal parts cocktail that's a play off the Negroni called the South by Southwest. Once again, we're using single malt scotch. So we're going to use 1 ounce of single malt scotch, 1 ounce sweet vermouth, and 1 ounce of Campari. We're going to serve this one straight up. And I'm not going to do a garnish with it because it is scotch. There are exceptions in this video, but typically with scotch you don't garnish. But there you go. Cocktail number 7, the South by Southwest. As polarizing as scotch is, I'm in the percentage that could take it or leave it. It's not my favorite spirit, but it's definitely not my least favorite either. I quite like the smoky aspect that it can have and the peatedness of a lot of them, especially a single malt Islay, can be really nice. I'm not going to get into what that means, but just understand, if you like whiskey, give scotch a try. There's a chance you won't like it, but I recommend at least trying everything once. Alright, with that, let me know if you would want me to do an entire video essay on scotch, because that is something I will do. But yeah, that's 7 scotch cocktails. I'll see you all next time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great evening.